As the new City Hall becomes the new center for city operations, it could also soon be home to a Ten Commandments monument. On November 12th, City Council discussed a monument to be funded and donated by the current City Council. Politics Today's Devin Singleton tells us more as we look into some of the money spent on the monument so far and if it could potentially face any legal challenges.
So it would be a gift from our council members, so you're still being asked to pay for this. So there is no sales tax dollars, there's no property tax dollars, there's no cost to the city. This is a historical document. This is not just a religious artifact.
In the months leading up to this meeting, the city had already paid nearly $4,500 to the Hyde Kelly LLP firm for legal counsel regarding this monument.
The monument's being donated by private funds. There's money that was expended in order to double check, our legal standing and make sure that by placing that monument that we place it the right way. And so once again, I think that was money well spent.
That was news to me. I had missed that in one of the bills. I will tell you that. I'll be perfectly honest. I missed it. I didn't know that was there. And maybe we need to repay that part if it's going to be a total donation.
Ten Commandment displays on government properties across the United States have resulted in lawsuits. Since November, City Council started speaking with attorney Hiram Sasser from First Liberty Institute. The mayor says he's agreed to represent the city on this monument at no charge if it's challenged.
Now, we did get some very good advice from a free lawyer last meeting, And don't get me wrong, I loved it. Anytime I can get free, I'm all in. I'll leave the first one at the counter,
We spoke with a staff attorney from Americans United for Separation of Church and State. He handles legal cases regarding church-state separation. He has not been hired by the city on this matter.
One thing that I like to bring up about these religious right law firms, because it sounds like a great deal, right? They say that they'll represent you for free and that it won't cost you anything. As long as you follow their advice and stuff. I will point out that in McCreary County, the county also had engaged one of these Christian right law firms. It wasn't First Liberty, but it was Liberty Counsel. And they got the same deal, which is to say that Liberty Counsel represented them all the way to the Supreme Court for free. But what they didn't tell them, and what they never tell them, is that if you get sued and lose in a civil rights case like this, then you have to cover the attorney's fees of the plaintiffs, the person that sued you. And the agreement didn't cover that. So McCreary County ended up being on the hook for several $100,000 of attorney's fees. And Liberty Counsel pieced out once that happened.
If we do get challenged and lose, the city will be liable for the plaintiffs.
Correct.
Who pays that?
We do. The city would pay that. Now, that's some of the legal stuff we're still working on. So that's why nothing's happening at this time. We're waiting for the legal to be sure to tell us what's there, what percentage of liability do we have.
Mayor Stanley says the goal is for this monument to mirror the one at the Texas State Capitol in Austin. That monument was deemed to be constitutional in 2005 by the Supreme Court in the case of Van Orden v. Perry.
A lot of places will commission a monument that looks like this Fraternal Order of Eagles monument. They will try and say that because this one looks like the one that the Supreme Court said was okay in Van Orden, never mind the context around what the actual opinion says. They think that because it looks the same, that it is the same. But that's not what the case says. The case says that monument, it's not that because it's this particular format of the Ten Commandments or physical appearance of the Ten Commandments. It's because it was surrounded by all these other non-religious monuments when it was put up and at the time that the lawsuit was brought.
Well, I think that the attorney would disagree with you in the fact that he advised us to match what's in the Capitol. And so it'll be a mirror image, just smaller, scaled down version of what's in Austin.
What's in Austin is a Ten Commandments monument that was put up in 1961. It sits among 22 other secular and historical monuments on Capitol grounds. Do
Sure.
we have anything like that with our monument?
I think we will. So, I mean, nobody has anything scheduled right now. I think that we should look at that and, hopefully we'll be setting a precedent. I'd love it for this council to be able to move for this monument. Maybe the next council would feel like, hey, let's do our part. Let's look at this document. Maybe it's a gift, that they could give, or that any council would feel like, we want to leave our mark here. And what we would leave our mark on is remembering who we are and where we come from.
Why go with the 10 Commandments and not a more secular monument like the Bill of Rights or something like that?
I think that the 10 Commandments is very fitting for the state of Texas because of the state capital and because of what they've done. And I think because of how black and white it has become, I think it's a strong stand, and I think it's a stand we should want to take.
This monument that you're putting up right now doesn't have any historical context because you're putting it up now. It hasn't been there for 40 years or 50 years or 100 years.
There wasn't even a probable concern from this firm. That anything like this would have any grounds of being removed or challenged.
Ian Smith says that depends.
If it's just the 10 Commandments, then there's plenty of other law to show that that is unconstitutional. You can't just put up the 10 Commandments. There's another case decided on the same day as Van Orden v. Perry. It's called McCreary County versus ACLU out of Kentucky. And there the Supreme Court struck down a 10 Commandments monument. In that case, there were actually like 3 different monuments, because the county kept losing in court. Then the court said, look, we can't ignore the history of this, right? We know what you're trying to do. You want to put up the 10 Commandments and just the 10 Commandments.
The mayor told us parts of Texas law help clear up those issues.
And I would never tell you that any one particular case decided it for everyone and all, but I can tell you that the updated laws here recognized within the state of Texas have cleared the fact that it's a historic monument.
If he's getting sued under the federal Constitution, the federal cases will trump it, trump whatever the state court says. Until the Supreme Court says different, Van Orden and McCreary are still good law and the law of the land.
Councilman Les Simpson gave us contact information for the attorney, Hiram Sasser. We asked him twice for an interview to be a part of this story. He hasn't gotten back to us. He also, you can also rather take a look at all of our full interviews with the mayor and Americans United, along with rulings from the Supreme Court cases over on our website, myhighplains.com. And if we do hear back from the other attorney, we will gladly share that as well.